All right, let's quickly review what we have done so far. So we created this courses component here. Then we register this in app module. So here in app.module, we added our component inside the declarations array, and then finally use this component in the template for app component. So let's quickly review. app.component.html, we added this courses element here. 3 steps, okay? Now, there are 2 problems with this approach. The first problem is that this approach is a little bit tedious. There are so many steps. So first we had to create this TypeScript class. Then we had to import this component decorator on the top. And next we had to apply it on this TypeScript class. There is so much boilerplate code here. Now, the second issue is that if we forget the second step, our application is going to break. Let me show you what happens. So let's go to app.module. I'm going to delete this line here. Now let's see what happens. Back in the browser, we got a blank page. So now we need to look at the console tab of Chrome Developer Tools. So right click anywhere on the page, inspect. So we can see we have 2 errors here. We can see the details of these errors in the console tab. So here's the error. Courses is not a known element. So if you don't register a component in a module, Angular doesn't know about it. And it doesn't know what to do with this courses element because this is not a native HTML element. So now let me show you a quicker and more reliable way to create an Angular component. We need to go back to the terminal, but look, our terminal is already busy. It's serving the application. So we either have to open a new terminal window, or we can actually open a terminal window inside VS Code. So back here, if you press Control and backtick, which is the character before the number 1 on your keyboard. Look, we have a terminal window here. And this is much easier to access than going back and forth between different windows. So here we can use Angular CLI to generate a component. So just like how we generated an application with ng new, we can also generate a component with this ng. So the syntax is like this: ng space G, which is short for generate, and C, which is short for component. And then the name of the component. Let's say we want to create a component called course. So course. Look at what happened. Angular CLI created a directory called course, and inside this directory added 4 files. A CSS file for storing the style sheets for this component, an HTML file for storing the template, a spec file, which is for writing unit tests for this component, and finally a TypeScript file, which is the actual component itself. Now, what is interesting here is that it also updated app.module and registered this new component. Let's have a look. So we can close this terminal window using the same shortcut, which is Control and backtick. Now we can open the Files panel using Command and B on Mac or Control B on Windows. Okay, look at app.module. So look, inside the declarations array, now we have course component. So this way, we don't have to remember to come back here and register our new components. Now, before we move on, let me just quickly add our courses component that I removed earlier. Okay. Now, back in the Files panel, this is the folder for our new component. So in this folder, we have these 4 files. Now let's take a look at the TypeScript class. It has all the boilerplate code that we wrote earlier, plus a little bit more. So here we're importing the component decorator, and on init, which is an interface, we're going to look at this later in the course. We have this component decorator applied to our TypeScript class. We have a selector. We have the URL of our template file, as well as the URL of our style sheet file. So Angular CLI saves us a lot of time. Now, as we go through this course, I will show you how you can use this tool to generate other building blocks for your applications.